Hi, this is Morgan Schwartz with my third and final visual essay for the visuality and culture. For my final essay, I wanted to explore Freud's concept of fetishism through modern-day print advertisements. In Freud's essay entitled Fetishism, he discusses the origins of the fetish. Freud begins his essay by noting that a fetish begins to flourish when a boy is a child and he first witnesses a woman naked. The fetish stems from a young boy's curiosity with the penis. Freud simply says that the fetish is a substitute for the woman's or the mother's penis that the little boy once believed in, and for reasons familiar to us, he does not want to give up. Essentially, Freud implies that the fetish is a substitute for the real object of desire, and that because even though the boy recognizes that the woman does not have a penis, he also retains his belief that the woman does have some sort of phallus, just in a different form. Therefore, it is no surprise that, especially with products like alcohol, companies have begun to use these phallic innuendos to market their inventory. The first ad that struck me was Budweiser's print ad. The advertisement features a naked woman, solely covered by Budweiser bottle caps, and is only surrounded by them. This image explicitly screams sex, and it is no secret that the ad is attempting to utilize this theme to gain the reader's interest. However, what is interesting to note is the placement of the beer bottle. The bottle is positioned in such a way that very distinctly resembles a penis, and not only a penis, but a penis that has been aroused, and reminds men of a woman's lack thereof. If Freud's assumption is correct, and the fetish is a result of the substitute of the woman's penis, the reader may begin to develop a fetish or desire for the beer and the product itself. In Peter Benson's essay, Freud and the Visual, he notes that the most profound visual impression in human development is given by the sight of female genitalia, the anatomical parts of which may thus provide a founding framework for the shapes and forms of language. This statement seems to piggyback somewhat on Freud's discovery. Rather than note that modern advertisements have taken this phallic symbol to use to their advantage, it is also important to note that companies use the presence or suggestion of female genitalia to generate a kind of desire as well. One advertisement that struck out to me was an ad I remembered some years ago for Absolute Vodka. The ad is for flavored vodka, and it features a fruit prominently in the top of the advertisement, and has a seemingly neutral background. However, if you look closely, the image itself is clearly representative of female genitalia. The fruit itself represents the clitoris and the source of all pleasure, while the rest of the image represents the rest of the vagina. This image is a result of the fact that the framework for shapes and form of the language revolve around the female genitalia. Like with the Budweiser advertisement, this image is meant to induce the fetish on an object being sold, and hopefully create a desire that will not cease to exist. In conclusion, Freud's argument that the fetish revolves largely around the idea of female castration explains many of the advertisements printed today. However, the two companies that embody the most of Freud's arguments are also, in my opinion, two companies that are largely known for their profits through advertising revenue. It is no surprise that the company that releases the most up-and-coming Super Bowl ads, and the company that has been able to maintain the same campaign throughout its existence, would have picked up on Freud's argument and used it to their advantage. Rather than just incorporate some sort of sexual image into their advertisement, they embody the principles and background of fetishism, and ultimately reap the benefits.